And welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast. 2 weeks, or I guess a week out from returning to Comicpalooza. And as here we go. Here we go again. Episode 450 today. Man, it feels like we just did 400. And now here we are halfway to 500.
Time flies.
I know, right? And that's crazy, man. We're doing, so about a year from now, 500. Pretty cool. The rebelradiopodcast.com to get caught up on any of those episodes that you might have missed. And how are you fellas doing today?
Not bad. Tired on 4 hours of sleep.
Hell yeah.
Had trouble sleeping last night. So, Mark, Matt, you were working last night, right?
No.
Oh, shit.
Nah, I woke up, I saw that text at like 2 a.m. I was like,
yeah, I was like,
what's long doing at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, I know. It was like, yeah, I know. It's
watching porn or something.
I wish, but no, I didn't feel like cleaning up afterwards, so I didn't. So
gross.
You brought us there, so
he did. He did. He opened the door.
You opened the door, and I walked right through.
So no, never mind.
But anyhow, so anyways, yeah, I'm a little loopy right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sleep real good anyway, so it's like I'm used to that, and it's just I don't know. It depends on the day, and sorry, a tremendous amount of noise coming from the background. I'm totally lost already in this podcast. It's like, wait. Anyway, kids coming here and making noise. You're supposed to be getting in bed. No. Anyway,
I know the feeling.
So where was I? Hold on.
So, anyways, while he's dealing with that, Matt, how have you been?
Been all right. Just doing summer stuff. The kids are out of school, and so got to try and find things for them to do. So 2 of them have taken an interest in martial arts, and took them to Taekwondo courses. And I found a somewhat old school style dojo. They like to make sure that they say yes sir, no sir after everything. Very respectful. And it doesn't seem they earn their belt. So I'd like to make sure that it's not one of those places where they just give it to them. You know, my younger one that's doing it, he couldn't complete all of his moves, so he didn't get his next stripe, and his older brother did. So they're pretty fair. That way they learn something.
That's when I took kung fu classes as a kid. I hated doing those routines. I hated it with a passion. I was like, this does not help me in the real fight. I hate this. So I stopped after a month.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's like BS. It's like I'm learning how to dance, not to fight.
That's
why I was suggesting jujitsu. Yeah. You know, they just teach them how to kill. That's all. Not none of these dance moves and stuff. You know, shoot, ground and pound. That's all.
Ground and pound.
Or freaking kickboxing, Thai kickboxing or something. You know. Well, I don't know if they do kata form or whatever. So
it's hard to find those schools now.
Well, they gotta find something to pad that subscription.
Yeah.
So
that or Aikido.
Okay, I think I'm settled now. So man, long. You accused me of shitting on your text, but no, I don't intend that, sir. but
I was just joking.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was.
A little bit of news came
I
out.
usually joke with emojis. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
is that what it is? I'm supposed to read the emojis.
Yeah, read the emojis.
But so a little bit of news. Well, I guess I don't know if it's a little bit of news, but this rumor's been floating around for years now that they're going to make a Spaceballs 2, and I guess it was confirmed today from Mel Brooks and Rick Moranis and Bill Pullman are going to come back, and Mel Brooks himself apparently is going to appear in the film as Yogurt. And so what I'm referring to is I shit on Long's text by saying no one asked for this movie, and it's like, and it's just true. I don't know anyone except a very small minority of people.
I was asking for it.
Very small minority of people that say, "Hey, I need a
my voice matters."
And but Mel Brooks is fixing to turn 99 in a week and a half. I mean, he may not even
World War
II
vet
rude,
too.
but he might not even be alive when this movie comes out. If it comes out in 2027,
World War II vet,
like scheduled.
Dang.
But parodies nowadays are so difficult to make because of the sensitivity of people. So you have to find a new way to move on, or to make it. I mean, that's why Austin Powers never got another film made, because Mike Myers said the state of the world, you can't do that movie anymore.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, and not that Spaceballs at the time was a parody of The Sign of the Times. You still have to find a way to make it funny and relevant, I guess is the word. And but I guess there is enough Star Wars material now to make fun of it. I mean, you could probably do a whole movie just making fun of the Acolyte. Yeah, that was a shot at the Acolyte.
Well, I mean, let's not gloss over the fact that freaking Rick Moranis is coming back after decades of being on the hiatus, raising his kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been in a few things here and there, but yeah, basically retired from filmmaking.
And Daphne Zuniga's coming back too. So, Princess, what's her name? So,
yeah, I mean, I fully expect a shot in the movie with all of them in one shot and saying this is what The Force Awakens should have given us. I mean, there's things like that you can predict. That take shots at that movie very easily. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, I recently rewatched the original because my middle son wanted to watch it, and I didn't laugh at it as much. Like, the Rick Moranis scenes are the only scenes that really held up well to me.
Those are the best scenes.
Yeah, the rest of the movie is just kind of dumb. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, low hanging fruit.
Yeah. So we'll see. But it in the state of the world it is in right now, we need movies that can maybe provide some laughter.
Different writing team too. Josh Gad said that the script was really, really good, and he was confident that it'll get greenlit, and it did. I was like, he had to use Mel Brooks to help audition for it, to pitch it, and they won it. So, I
mean, they tried to make this about 10 years ago after The Force Awakens came out. They were trying really hard to get it made, and it never happened.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And that's about the right time. You have another Star Wars movie in theaters next year. So then 2027, I think, is the Starfighter movie. So, there will be Star Wars will be relevant. Not that it's unrelevant now, but will be in the echelon again, with films in theaters and things like that. So it'll be about the right time for a Spaceballs film. And they put out a little video teaser, I believe, today on YouTube. Kind of just an announcement teaser. So, and along with that, we got a final trailer for Superman. Not that I needed to see anything else for this to be ready to see it in theaters, but I think the thing that stood out to me was the incredible shot at the end of the trailer where he's blasting all the whatever they are, the Lex Luthor robots or whatever, with his heat vision. That's a really freaking cool. But stoked for that movie, and it's just about 3 weeks away, man. We're going to be talking a lot of Superman. We got, in fact, next week with Superman at Comicpalooza, and Superman for next week's episode, one of the Superman films. So Superman will be in the news quite a bit. Early test screenings are happening for the film, and not much leaks out of those, but so far, good word of mouth from the test screenings. So, Then James Gunn, he'll come out and he'll say, "Oh, there hasn't been a test screening." I'm pretty sure the movie's about 4 weeks away. There's test screenings. I think Gunn just likes to try to hide the fact that it's happening. Test screenings usually happen within a month or 6 weeks before the film comes out, in case they have to change anything. So I'm sure it's happened. And I know Gunn's he's pushing people to go see this in 3D. He says, he said that, he tweeted something about like, I know 3D is not the biggest thing anymore, but he goes, you might want to see this in 3D. Because I mean, I'm sure there are other good 3D movies besides James Cameron, doing Avatar films. So,
yeah,
I think that Avatar is the last thing I saw in 3D.
Yeah,
Can't remember what I saw in 3D last.
Yeah. Do they still charge? Do they still upcharge for 3D? I can't remember last time I bought a damn ticket. Do they still upcharge?
I wear glasses. I don't need to wear another pair on top of what I'm wearing.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes it hard for people to wear glasses too. And so yeah, man. So Spaceballs 2 and Superman in a few weeks. Other than that, it was kind of a slow. Well, in Star Trek news, I don't want to leave Star Trek out because I know Long's a big Trek fan, but Strange New Worlds will end after 5 seasons. But I think that's still pretty solid, man, for a streaming show, especially on Paramount Plus, which is I don't want to say one of the lesser streaming services, but not as, let's be fair, not as known as Prime or not as much used as Prime, not known, but you know what I mean. So for the last 5 seasons, that's pretty solid because I don't think any other Star Trek show that's been on Paramount Plus has lasted that long.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. I like Strange New Worlds. I'm only on like the first season or almost. Maybe I started the second. I don't remember. But what I watched of it, I really liked.
Yeah.
So it was good. Good characters and good stories. Kind of reminded me of it's almost like an updated version of the original Trek, only with Captain Pike and the crew.
Yeah. I do like Lower Decks, though. That's a pretty funny show.
That's the cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen like one or 2 episodes. Yeah. Yeah. And but yeah,
Picard season 3. Have you seen that yet?
Oh yeah, I watched all Picard.
Yeah, Picard season 3 is really good.
Yeah.
Season 1 and 2 are just garbo.
Well, 1 was good, but then 2 sucked.
No, 1 was garbage.
No, see, I like 1. Well, I think that's what made 1 garbage, because the payoff in season 2 wasn't there.
I never watched season 2, but I'm like, I couldn't even make it through season 1. It was just bad.
But yeah, no, season 3 was definitely good.
Yeah, season 3 brought it back home.
Yeah, no, that was definitely. I mean, you don't have to be a hardcore Trek fan to enjoy that show. To enjoy that season anyway.
I didn't watch the first 2 seasons, and I still enjoyed season 3.
Yeah, yeah, you can watch it without. Yeah. There's a couple of characters that are like kind of new, but the show does a good job of picking you up to the speed of who they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really well done. Emotional too. It's an emotional show. So, but it was well done. Other than that, man, I did watch a couple of things this week. I want to get into some things we watched. I think I talked about last week. I did see Captain America: Brave New World, and it's okay. It's not bad. But it's just okay.
Yeah. It's
heavily edited. I felt like they left things out of it that should have been in the film. And just felt like it was missing things. But it's fine. It is what it is. I watched. I started it last week, and I finished it. I finished Kevin Costner's excuse me, his Horizon Chapter 1, his epic Western. And what a beautifully shot film. Fantastic cinematography. Great sets. Very interesting characters, but it's literally 3 hours of setup. It just sort of ends, and nothing happens until Chapter 2 gets released, hopefully later this year.
Was that ever shot?
Season 2. Chapter 2 is shot. In fact, it's screened at film festivals already, and it's got much better reviews than Part 1. Part 2 they say is much better. So HBO and Warner Brothers are trying to figure out a way to release it. Chances are it comes to Max later this year with maybe a limited theatrical release. That's been the word. Now, Chapter 3 has not been shot yet because this thing is supposed to be at least 3 chapters. So I guess it depends how streaming numbers do and all that, whether Chapter 3 gets made. And apparently the sets and things have not been torn down and suit costumes are ready, so they can shoot Chapter 3 as soon as they're ready, kind of like they did with Dune and Dune Part 2. So, Warner Brothers, when it comes to that kind of stuff, is pretty smart. They kind of sometimes can be patient. They might can a Batman film or a Looney Tunes film, but they, with stuff they spend a lot of money on. So that's the word I've heard. But I think if you enjoy Westerns, it's worth the watch. I mean, like I said, some really good characters, especially since we know Chapter 2 is coming out. It would suck if that wasn't coming out, because then you're just sort of stuck with 3 hours of nothing. But Kevin Costner's always known how to make a Western, so that hasn't changed. And then I took, I'm saving the best thing I think I saw for last, but I took Waverly to see Lilo and Stitch. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. And I'm not going to let you guys jump my dick for me saying didn't bother me them changing the ending, because to me it's just a movie and it's okay to tell the story a little bit differently, because it doesn't take away from the meaning of the word Ohana as far as the film goes, because it's the way it's handled, the way it's explained, it's handled just fine. Waverly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. The little girl they got to play Lilo was ridiculously cute. She did a really good job. Sometimes you get child actors, but she was really good in the movie. I think my only beef with it is these live action Disney films is, you had the really excellent CGI in the Jungle Book, and even though I didn't feel the Lion King needed to be made, the CGI was really good in it. Parts of Lilo and Stitch, the CGI is a little bit like, it just doesn't blend in right with the live action,
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably my only beef with it, but that's a small beef, And then I watched on Hulu, through Disney Plus, the new animated Predator film, Killer of Killers. This thing is fucking awesome. It might be one of the best Predator movies I've ever made. It might be the best Predator movie made, and it is.
Did the Predators win?
In a way, it's kind of you have to see it, man, because there's a big twist surprise at the end that ends up linking the thing to all the other Predator movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say anything because that'll spoil how the Predators sort of win, even though. So it's really good, and it starts out a little bit like you're not sure what's going on, and you really have to let it unfold. And it's like 3 stories, but they're all combined, and then the nice surprise at the end ties them all together. And it's really solid, really good, cool. It uses that kind of newish style of animation they use, like in the Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, that kind of blocky looking, almost stop motion CGI animation, but it works, for the film. And it's bloody as hell, as a Predator movie should be. But definitely worth watching, man. It was awesome. And the twist, nowadays I watch these movies, and sometimes so many movies have twists now. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. This twist actually got me. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I was like, it really got me to like buy into it. And it's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who made Prey and is making the new Predator Badlands. So he's looks like he's trying to build upon the universe that's already there. There's definitely world building. This is a huge world building Predator movie, like huge. So highly recommend. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, man. Find an hour and 20 minutes of your time to watch it for sure.
I'll watch it as soon as you guys are done watching Andor.
You might be waiting a couple months.
If you can watch a 3-hour setup movie with Kevin Costner, I'm sure you can finish Andor, set in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually.
Even my racist friend in Pennsylvania is able to finish it. Are you going to let a racist finish watching it?
Well, they're better at races, so they raced, to finish Andor.
I mean, I'm halfway through it. I've watched the first 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm getting there. But I think I was sci-fi'd out. I think that's why I watched Horizon. I'd watched a lot of sci-fi comic book stuff in the last couple of weeks, and I just wanted a change of pace. So, yeah. It's not like I watched Beaches or something and cried my eyes out. Come on, man.
Beaches?
Man, don't knock on Beaches. I don't even know what that is.
It's a Bette Midler movie.
Oh,
Oh,
that my mom used to watch.
what's the one with Winona Ryder and
It's an absolutely horrible tearjerker. So
oh, like Tears of Endearment or something? Terms of Endearment?
Terms of Endearment.
I mean, I never saw that. So yeah,
Yeah, with Deborah Winger and Shirley MacLaine.
but yes, Deborah Winger was in Beaches.
Oh,
Hmm.
So yeah, those are some things I checked out this week.
Me, I was just playing on my Steam Deck the whole time. This past couple of weeks, playing games again, which is nice. Just a bunch of like games like Hades, or Halls of Torment, and a little bit of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the Steam Deck, no less. Like, whoa, I could play this like high demand game on the Steam Deck. It's like that's cool. And but playing another game called Monster Train, which is pretty cool as well. But yeah, I've been just playing a lot of handheld games on the Steam Deck, and just getting my money's worth. And I found out that the ever since the Switch 2 came out, the Steam Deck also started selling out as well. So yeah,
Dang,
yeah,
a lot of demand for those consoles.
yeah. The nice thing about the Steam Deck is that if you get a cheap dock that's compatible, you can actually turn it into a makeshift PC gaming. Like hook it up to your monitor, hook a keyboard and mouse to it and stuff, and just yeah, play in 1080p or whatever. Not as seamless as the Switch though. How about you, Matt?
I played a couple new games this week. My son was done playing Doom: The Dark Ages, so I checked it out. It's pretty fun. You're basically, I feel like you're Captain America because you can like throw this shield that's got like rotating razors around it and cut through your the demons. It's like you're in the Dark Age times, and you're fighting these giant kaiju-sized demons at times with medieval mechs, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. I played the first couple scenarios, but he's beat it already. I think it took him 22 hours to beat it. And then we downloaded Wolfenstein and killed some Nazis on Wolfenstein through some pipe bombs. I'd never played it. I played like Call of Duty. I've played Medal of Honor. I've played those types of games, but it was fun. It's different. And I think I'm only up to episode 3 on Andor, and got to keep going.
Yeah, but you cheated because you skipped the first season.
I did the season 1 recap.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count?
No.
I'll have to do it in reverse then. I'll have to watch season 2 and then go back and watch season 1.
No, that's fine. You can still watch. It starts getting better after that third episode. I mean,
I really liked the first episode.
yeah, a lot of things are lost a little bit with the subtext dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, the must-watch stuff you have to see is like all the ISB meetings in the first season, which are really good. And
well, and then why Bix and everybody are on the harvest farms.
But the recap should be how long was the recap?
It was like 20 minutes or something.
Oh, okay,
like that, I think.
That's a pretty good chunk. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, no, just keep trucking, Matt. I'm so frustrated. It's like I'm like the only one that finished it, and I really like the last 6 episodes of the season, and then yeah, and I want to get your reactions of watching Rogue One after you finish Andor. So
yeah,
let's see what seems different about Rogue One. Does it make it better or worse? To me, I think Rogue One is not it is better because you know all of the background that has happened in season 2 of Andor, and going into Rogue One, you're like impressed on how like wow, okay, they hinted about it in Rogue One, but since you've seen it happen, the hinted dialogue is so much more significant, you know. Uh, and then especially with Saw Gerrera,
Yeah.
yeah, especially with Saw Gerrera. So, but once Matt's far enough into it, I believe after episode 6, because Mark, you saw the one where that Saw Gerrera monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and then you rewatch Rogue One, you're like, oh, okay, Saw Gerrera. That adds another dimension to his character, knowing what we've seen in season 2, you know. So, but yeah,
I know he goes crazy. Did they kind of show that a little bit more?
no, it just gives more meaning to why he has the breathing apparatus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the movie. So, and the way he was breathing it in his Rogue One appearance as well. You're just assuming, oh, it's because of battle injury, but no, there's other reasons why he was snorting it. So
Hmm.
yeah, but his monologue just was a nice little cherry on top of that little reason. So,
Nice,
but yeah,
man. Yeah, hopefully I can
I
get
didn't mean to
caught up.
interrupt you.
No, you're good. Yeah. No, I hope to get caught up because, the first episode looked more fun than I think anything I saw whenever I was trying to watch the first season. I felt like it was way better than anything that I had seen over there. Just it felt like Star Wars,
Mhm.
trying to get out of the hangar, trying to figure out how to pilot the damn thing. And then, it was fun. And I was like, man, this feels like Star Wars,
Mhm.
and so that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah,
So I'm hopeful for a second season.
or for it to pick up or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say you're on the second season, sir.
Yeah. But as a whole.
Yeah.
Second arc, I think that's what he meant.
All right. Well, I guess that's it, huh? All right. Well, man. So we way back when with episode 150, we started a tradition of covering Indiana Jones films with the 50 marked episodes, like 150, 250, 350, and now 450. So we did them in order. We did Raiders, and we did Temple, and we did Last Crusade. And so for 450, of course, we are doing Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And we already covered Dial of Destiny last year when it came out in theaters. We covered it that weekend it came out, which I think might have been our last time we did a theatrical release. But that's okay. It might change with Superman in a few weeks, seeing how our schedules go. But so for this week, 450, man, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which came out in 2008. And there was a lot of hype behind this film when it came out. They tried to get this off the ground as early as like 2003 or 4. They were trying to get made, and Spielberg was, he was so busy. He was also, one. I mean, still to this day is one of our, most popular directors of all time, and he was coming off Oscar wins and this and that. And they, Lucas was finishing up the prequel trilogy, and he really wanted a new Indiana Jones film to be made. And it came really close to getting made in like 2006, but it would be a couple years later before it came out. And it came out with lots of hype. And this is one of those movies, and it made a lot of money, but it also got a lot of hate. And because I think this is one of those movies that there's so much hype behind it, it was never going to live up to anyone's expectations or anyone who thought that this was going to be anything like Raiders of the Lost Ark, 40 years earlier. And I'll be the first one to say that I like this movie. I really do. I think I don't hate this movie. There's a couple things that are a little bit kind of, cheeky or whatever. But if you were to literally break this film down next to the other Indiana Jones films, it has all the check marks of what an Indiana Jones film is. And that'll be the first thing I'll say. And Long, you weren't here last week or so you get to summarize what happens in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I didn't get to rewatch it, but I'll go off of memory. Since I barely found out today that was the movie. But yeah, Indiana Jones what, 10, 20 years afterwards?
19 years after the Last Crusade.
Yeah,
Mhm.
after the Last Crusade. And he's much more seasoned. And he's Indiana Jonesing. And no, the MacGuffin of this is the Crystal Skull.
Mhm.
And he's being chased after by Red Army,
The Russians.
the Russians. And he's also has his son. What's his son's name?
Mutt,
Mutt.
Mutt.
but he doesn't
Yeah,
know it's his son yet.
yeah. I didn't know it was his
Yeah.
son. And anyway, so it's some major scenes that still stick out to me, even though I haven't watched it in years, which I still remember over Dial of Destiny, is Indiana Jones being caught at a nuclear test site, him escaping in the refrigerator, and being blasted off, and then landing safely from the nuclear blast. Him fighting in a test facility that's like a rocket launcher, rocket testing, and then he gets chased after in the jungle in the Amazon, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then a huge fight between him and the soldier henchman number 2 in the anthill,
Yeah.
and then of course Shia LaBeouf's character swinging from tree to tree like a monkey. little nod to Tarzan, I guess. I like everyone's least favorite scene in the movie, universally.
Which is so funny because it's such a short scene.
It is a short scene. And then of course Kate Blanchett just hamming it up as the main villain,
Yeah.
antagonist.
She has a lot of fun with it.
She does have a lot of fun. She's a very fun villain,
Mhm.
and
And then Ray Winestone, who's just enjoying being it. You can just tell he's enjoying being Indiana Jones.
yeah,
He's having
Yeah.
so much fun.
yeah. What was his character's name in that? Wait.
I just watched it.
Ray Winestone. Oh, Mac.
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 That's right. I was going to say something with an M. I'll say Mike or something. Mac.
Who kept
Yeah.
betraying Indy for some
Yeah,
reason?
back and forth.
He's a
Yeah.
horrible person. He goes with whoever pays him the most.
Right.
Yeah,
Whoever's got the most money, that's who his
Yeah.
allegiance is going to be to.
yeah. And then where's the climax?
The great John Hurt playing his fellow professor friend,
Yeah,
and then of course Marion comes back.
Marion comes
Karen
back.
Allen. Yeah.
Karen Allen. Yeah, and then what happens? Where was the final confrontation?
In the temple in the Amazon, where they have to return the crystal skull to the crystal aliens, and they're interdimensional beings, not aliens, and
Interdimensional.
they just want the skull back so they can return to their dimension. That's all.
Oh, okay.
That's all they want. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember all the major set pieces in this film compared to Dial of Destiny. And I haven't seen this movie in over 5 years. But I still remember it. And for me, I felt like I was the only one who didn't hate on this movie because I actually liked the movie. Despite its hulkiness. It's like I enjoyed it, and I'll say that Crystal Skull has its flaws, but it wasn't the worst Indiana Jones movie ever made. Well, it probably is, but still, it's a fun, entertaining movie.
It's not Dragon Ball Evolution,
Not even close.
No, it's not Plan 9 from Outer Space.
But we'll when we get to the end, we'll maybe have some fun ranking them. But before we get there, I'll say that I don't think any 5 of these films are bad at all.
No,
I think all 5 Indiana Jones have something to offer. And it's a relatively opinion of what you think they are. No, it's not bad.
I fell asleep during it. I never fall asleep in a movie, much less like an Indiana Jones movie. So, and I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so I'll excuse anything, But yeah, it's like the pacing of Dial of Destiny, you could tell studio interference with that film was pretty bad. So the most boring chase scenes I've ever seen, in an action movie, ever. It was just overly long, and it's like I just didn't feel. I don't know. Dial of Destiny. I'll give it props though. Dial of Destiny does have some really cool opening scene with the young Indy de-aging stuff, and then probably the end where they actually went to ancient Greece of all places, you know, and because to pay off the MacGuffin, and I like that, but everything in the middle was just a mess for me. So
Yeah, that's okay.
I think for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I think maybe the critique you could give it is that because you're going sci-fi, are you going, kind of like 50s sci-fi, or are you, going back to the adventure, the
Well, I think
the
they blended
ruins.
it.
Yeah, they blend it, but it's I think you could argue it has an identity issue maybe.
Well, because I don't know, because when they get Indy in the room at the beginning, and it's like the men with no labels, and they're interrogating him. Do you know what happened in 1947? And Indy says, "Yeah, I was there," and y'all wouldn't tell us a thing. And then his friend comes in and says, "Do you know who this is? This is Dr. Henry Jones. He's a war hero." And so they blend it with the 1950s sci-fi schlock along with action adventure,
Yeah.
and but I think it's still more of an adventure movie than a science fiction movie. I think it has sci-fi elements. But to be fair, Raiders of the Lost Ark had sci-fi elements and supernatural elements. That's always been a thing that's been throughout all the Indiana Jones films. I mean, hell, they time travel in Dial of Destiny. So I mean, I think that's a safe thing to say. And I remember when it came out, a lot of people were complaining about the alien science fiction element of it, and I'm like thinking, like, it's not that far from the course from what the other Indiana Jones films were. I mean, in Temple of Doom, you have a guy using voodoo to rip someone's heart out. You have the Holy Grail and believing in immortality in Last Crusade. So how is Aliens that far fetched? It's really not.
Yeah, no film is grounded in reality.
Right.
That's for that part is for sure.
No, I know, but that's what people were complaining about, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were like, Aliens in Indiana Jones doesn't make sense. I'm like, how does it not make sense? I was like,
I didn't mind the whole alien thing either.
right.
So
Well, I liked it because I thought it was a different take. It could have easily become Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where Indy meets an alien, and you're like, okay, this is weird. Instead, they left it open to interpretation when his John Hurt's character says they're interdimensional beings, and Indy, they're standing there more looking in wonder, but they're also trying to escape at the same time as they try to take it all in. So it's it keeps that sense of adventure, because Indy knows he saw it, but it wasn't quite there. Because you notice, like, throughout all the films, Indy never really gets what he gets what he comes for, but he never keeps anything. It's always, he had to give the Ark over to the military. He had to give the stones back to the temple. The Grail has to stay in this behind the seal. So, and again in this, the Crystal Skull eludes him at the end because it has to be returned where it goes.
Exactly. He always does the right thing.
Hmm.
He is the Boy Scout. But yeah, he also, some people before I even saw this film, I remember people complaining that they felt like he didn't get in good enough shape. But watching the film, I think he got into good enough shape to do his own stunts, and even his measurements. Whenever they did his measurements, they matched the last film he did. Yeah, and so it's like, how much of that is true. I think maybe you definitely look different whenever you're older. So maybe it's just that. But yeah, I think he looked.
Then he has Shia LaBeouf's character of Mutt, his son, to play off of. So it helps add to the action scenes because he doesn't have to do as much. And say what you want about Shia and his personal life and issues he's had, he's fine in the film. Yeah, he does his job. He's really good. He plays off of Harrison's Indiana Jones very well. And he does well in the action scenes, because that's one thing I have to say about Shia. I've never had a problem with as an actor. He's always been solid in films. I mean, you go watch the Peanut Butter Falcon. He's excellent in that movie. He's good in this movie. And I think that helps to have Indy play off of it, of someone. Which, to be fair, they try that in Dial of Destiny with Phoebe's character, and it doesn't work quite as well. I think Mutt's a much better character for Indy to play off of because hell, he's his son. He's related to him. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that anthill fight though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I like it. It's so. I mean, they can't use real bugs anymore like tradition, but
right.
yeah, I really like the anthill fight and the cheesy death that the soldier goes through.
And
with
those
it.
Amazon ants are based on real ants. Now they're not going to eat a human like they do in the movie, but they
Yeah.
are big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge ants.
Yeah.
Army ants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you don't want to get bit by them. You might not feel too good, but yeah, they're not going to devour a human.
Yeah.
There was a stunt.
Actually, Mark, you might be wrong on that because I think there have been
Hey,
human carcasses found near those type of ants.
Oh, I wouldn't be
in the
surprised. I
Amazon.
don't fuck with no Amazon. You know,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, dude, freaking big ass spiders, snakes that you can't call them snakes. Call it a rope. Don't call it a snake. It's crazy. You know, a lot of people. Another complaint that because I guess let's just address some of the complaints. Sean Connery not being in the film and then killing him off. They want him to come back, but he didn't want to do it. So
I don't want to say they killed him off. I mean, to be fair, he's older. They wrote him off the story. I mean, you got to think.
Didn't he get eternal life from the Holy Grail?
No, he crossed the seal. Remember, that was the price for eternal life. You had to stay behind the seal.
Okay.
So I was okay with that. They asked him to come back. He was retired. He didn't want to do it. They respected his wishes. It bugs me more that Sala doesn't come back. At least that's one thing I really like about Dial of Destiny is Sala got his moment. That bugged me more not having Sala than it did having Brody or Henry because, I understood it. They were older. They probably had moved on by that point. That's all they could do. They could ask Sean. They had a part for him. Didn't work out.
Plus, he probably was dealing with dementia by that point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, he did die of a severe form of dementia or Alzheimer's in his later years. So, because there were interviews that Sean Connery said that he didn't really understand the movie roles that he was reading for. He kept mentioning that throughout all his interviews. Oh, I took it, but I didn't quite understand it. Stuff like that. But
right.
Man, he's one of those old school guys who probably doesn't believe in mental health and stuff like that.
Sure.
So he probably just brushed it off as, just not understanding concepts or whatever. But he said he had a hard time understanding Red October or Russia House or Dragonheart, So, but he took it because he got paid well. So.
Yeah.
Not to discredit his storied career.
Right.
But yeah, it was disappointing that he couldn't make it at all.
Yeah, because his last movie was 5 years before this. We did The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
And he kind of took a back seat after that. And but
relax in the Bahamas.
Yeah, but I mean, but I was okay with him not being in the story. It would have been nice if he had been in it, but I thought they paid a nice tribute when him and the dean of the school, they were talking about his father and missing him. And, they gave him a little tribute in the film, and it works for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was thinking about, this did cross my mind rewatching the other day. So Indiana has this really nice house, and what university is he at? Princeton, right?
I thought it started with an M. Is it a? But
anyway, it's like he has this nice house, and how he ends up in the little small apartment in Dial of Destiny. I'm like, what'd you do with your nice house? I did think about that.
Yeah, I did like the little Marion appearance at the end of Dial of Destiny, though.
Yeah, because it brought it all together. It was, and it's nice to see her in Kingdom of Crystal Skull. When she shows up at the right timing in the movie. Mm-hmm. She brings some levity to it, and her and Indiana are back to fighting like they always were, and so it makes for some good moments.
Marshall.
And she reveals
Marshall
that
College.
Marshall, okay, and reveals that Mutt's his son. So she provides some much needed exposition and some levity to the film, and it was nice to see her in it too. And
they wanted to make it a surprise, but then they ended up just putting her on the cover.
Right. And then and again, I think it's cool to see the Russians as the bad guy in this film instead of the Nazis again. And Kate Blanchett's excellent in the movie. You know, I mean, she's always very good at everything she does, but she I read somewhere that she like really enjoyed being in this. Like she was one of her favorite roles she did. Like she was so happy to be in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. Considering most of her roles are dramatic and depressing and adult, you know.
Yeah.
Something fun and not so Oscar chasing performances all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. And then, you know, and then we mentioned earlier, people make a big deal about the refrigerator scene. It's a little far-fetched, but again, these movies have always been a bit around the far-fetched adventure. Yes, they have some ground in reality, but it's fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. I've seen much worse take you out of reality moments in movies than him getting thrown in a refrigerator. You know,
I think the setup is nice.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, you think they're people,
right.
and then they're just mannequins. He's surrounded by mannequins. And I feel like the setup is the best part of that scene.
Yeah. And, you know, and whatever, you know,
I like
those
the
old
scene.
lead fridges, you never know, man. You know?
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're tough.
Like I told someone, like, have you ever been in a nuclear blast? No. Then how do you know? You know, it's like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
If you wanted to know the science of it, if you're in that radius, in that fridge, you'll actually get cooked alive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, though, just go with it. You know, it's a movie.
Yeah, just go with it.
Yeah. I mean, James Bond in Die Another Day falls out of a car through the sky in a Lamborghini or whatever and lands in the snow and survives. You know, all these movies have that kind of stuff. You know?
Didn't Pierce Brosnan do parasailing or something in the polar?
Well, yeah, one of them. You know, so
Yeah,
that's the
in
action
an invisible
movie.
car. Yeah.
Sometimes they get a little ridiculous, but you know. But to be fair, the refrigerator scene might, out of all the Indiana Jones films, it might be the most ridiculous over the top scene. Because to be fair, the action scenes generally are pretty grounded. You know, motorcycle chases and truck chases and horse chases. So that one is a little bit out there, but hey, it's cool, you know. But overall, though, man, like I said, I like this film. I think it has all your classic Indiana Jones moments. It has good jokes, has good callbacks to other films. And,
Paced well. It's paced well too.
Yeah, it's paced very well. It moves quick. It's still a classic adventure story.
I like Area 51 in the film. I like
the reference. Yeah, and then I like. I think they were very careful. Spielberg talked about they didn't want to make too many age jokes, but they made just a few, and they work and when they're timed right.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't overdo it, and I think that works well too. And you know, they alluded at the end of the film, whenever him and Marion get married, of it being a passing of a torch film to Mutt. But I think now we realize that was never the plan. As Indy grabs his hat back from him at the end, and you know, because there were some talks for a while there about a different actor playing Indiana Jones. You know, whether it be Nathan Fillion or even Chris Pratt at one point, whoever. You know, I'm not saying those are my picks or anything. I'm just saying that there were talks about it, But I think that it would have been nice, I think, at times to see a recast of Indy and get more of these movies. But the more I think about it, I'm also fine with just having the 5 we have, and that's it. You know, and we don't need more. And the series dies until one day some studio remakes it long after we're all dead too. Then whatever, we won't even know then. You know?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
it'd be cool if they went back in time and did prequels like what you saw in the beginning of Last Crusade with River Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, they did the Young Indiana Jones series, remember?
Oh yeah.
Which has there are some callbacks in some of those episodes that tie in with the films. You know, they're there if you pay attention to them. And not every episode, but there's some. I haven't seen all of them, but I've watched some of those when they were on Disney Plus for a while. You could watch all the Young Indiana Jones. I don't know if they're still there. Some of them are really good, and some of them are kind of okay. You know, it was one of the most expensive television series ever made at the time it came out, because they were building sets and a lot of location shooting, which is unheard of for a television show. You know, back in 1992. to location shoot. That's no big deal now to location shoot a TV show, but 92, that was a huge deal, because they wanted to be as authentic as it could be, which is cool. But Indiana Jones is embedded in our pop culture, man. We've got comics, we've got video games, and action figures and merchandise, and one of the greatest action adventure series of all time. And and I think if I was, I don't hate Dial of Destiny like Long does, but I do. To be fair, it is probably, I would put it at number 5, and I think Crystal Skull and Temple of Doom are kind of my 4 and 3 back and forth. I like both of them because there's things in Temple of Doom I don't like. I find it to be talking about action. There's an action sequence at the beginning. There's action sequence at the end. The middle of that movie is really slow in Temple of Doom, to be fair. And then of course Last Crusade. And my favorite's always gonna be Raiders, because Raiders, as much as I love Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my all-time favorite movie. It is my all-time favorite film of all time. So it'll always be my number 1.
Yeah, it's definitely Raiders, Crusade, Temple, Crystal Skull, and Dial of Destiny for me.
Me, it's Dial of Destiny, Crystal Skull. You'll be surprised. Last Crusade, Raiders, and then number 1 is Temple for me. Because for me, Temple of Doom was my first Indiana Jones film. So,
okay.
Yeah. And it kind of goes in chronological order, canon-wise. So, yeah. Because Temple of Doom set a year before Raiders. So,
right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We talked Last Crusade.
Plus, I got a fellow Vietnamese brother.
Oh yeah.
Short round.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people love Last Crusade, and it's actually having theatrical screenings this weekend for Father's Day, and I like it too. But I think the thing that holds me back from Last Crusade is kind of I don't know. I feel like there's a little been there, done that with the Nazis in it again. I think that's the one thing that keeps it back just a little bit, But it's still a fun film too, But Raiders is my goat, for sure. But such a great movie series. I mean, overall, like I said, none of the 5 films are bad in any way. There's something to be to think about all of them. And Crystal Skull, I think, gets a really unfair hatred to it because it's really a pretty solid movie. Like I said, it was just the hype was so big for it. It was never going to live up to it. It's just one of those things. And it came out a week or 2 after Iron Man, I think, and people were high on Iron Man, I remember. But yet this movie still made a lot of money. It didn't do it did over 300 something in the American box office, I think. I know it did really well.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I think Crystal Skull is the number 1 Indiana Jones film at the box office. So it made money. But
still number 1.
Yeah.
So you can't knock it too much.
No.
The numbers do not lie.
All right. Well, next week
if given the choice, though, Crystal Skull over Dial of Destiny any day. If a gun was held up to my head and I had to pick, I had to go with Crystal Skull. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I guess I found something in Dial of Destiny that I latched onto, and I find it. I don't think it's great, but I like it. I guess I got what it was trying to accomplish for an older Indiana Jones. So that's fair. All right. Well, next week, so we're going to do another pretty controversial movie next week as far as hype behind it, and I think it came out the year before Crystal Skull. I think it was 2007, and we're kind of doing this because we've already covered all the other Superman films on the show, and we're getting ready for James Gunn's Superman coming out in July, and so at Comicpalooza we're going to be discussing the legacy of Superman on film. So we figured we would knock out the one theatrical film out of the way that we haven't done yet. And that is Bryan Singer's reboot of Superman with Superman Returns. And, this movie, it's been a bit since I've watched it. I know that the Superman Kids thing is very weird and bizarre, but overall I kind of like this movie. And for certain reasons, because I see what Singer was trying to do with it. Unfortunately, it misses on some levels. There's no major Superman fight in it, unfortunately. But there's some kind of cool stuff in this, and I think we're going to lean towards talking about the cool stuff and the stuff that did work against the stuff that didn't work with it. Because I don't think it's a bad Superman film. It just kind of misses the mark on some things, and we'll get into that next week when we talk Superman Returns as we get ready for Comicpalooza weekend and all that good stuff. As we move on to the next 50 episodes towards 500 episodes, and that's pretty wild. But until then. The RubberRadioPodcast.com for all your Rubber Radio needs. Continue to be safe out there, and thank you as always for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long.
Remember, as always, just go there and do it.
Do it.